All right, so let's make a quick comparison here. All right. So I just want to do this quick comparison real quick. Just to talk about one of the things that I just find a little troublesome about this game, particularly compared to their newest title. And obviously, the newer title is going to be a little bit better in some aspects, but it's just a point that I think they can improve on in this game. And it's mainly talking about the skills, right? So if we look at the skills of this game, it's a little jumbled up, especially when it starts getting a little bit complex in some of these. I'm trying to find a good example. Yeah, like this right here. This is pretty. It's very jumbled, right? It's a lot of like numbers thrown at you. It's not really like spread out in an evenly way to like, hey, all right, this goes with this, this goes with this. Obviously, you can read it like a sentence, but as far as like just trying to understand and piece the information, especially when you're dealing with like trying to understand like structure and numbers and stuff like that, is very confusing. If you organize things in the right manner, it makes it a little bit easier. Now, the other example I want to show is, of course, the other game, Genshin Impact, where it's a little bit more balanced out, and you can definitely see the numbers and they separate it in a nice way. So if we go over to that game, bam, which I still have it open. We take a look at the characters here. We can look at their talents, right? This is their skills. So you see, nicely formatted. Normal attack, charge attack. The skills, this how much damage it does. Now, some of them start getting a little bit more complex, right? So this one's a little bit, but look how, like, it changes it. Okay, this is the description at the top. You have the hold right here, and then the actual thing that it does right here, the elemental absorption. You go to the skills, and it's nicely organized in each little bracket. Same thing for all of these. Is easily organized and easy to see. This is one character. We can look at other examples. Kaya, same thing. Like, it's just, some of these characters get a little bit more complex. I know this character has like a pretty long one, right? Look, you see this? This is pretty cool. So they have, so even if it is a giant sentence, right? They put the, you see how they put the brackets here to separate it? Okay, so you know this is tied to this part, and then this part is completely separate because it's in a completely different paragraph. So it's like, okay, we got this giant paragraph right here. This is what it does. These are the properties, semicolons. These are the two properties right here. Okay, so this thing right here does these two things, but this thing right here also is part of the skill, but it's separate. It's a separate thing, and it just makes it a lot nicer. And then once again, it goes with the skills. This makes total sense right here. It does this amount of damage plus this amount of damage. There's some where you can see that it separates. It says that because these are like, sometimes those like multi-hitting attacks. Sometimes character has 2 hits, like this right here. It does 3. This 3-hit damage thing, it does 2 hits. So it's talking about the 2 hits for both damage. Some characters have like scaling things, right? But this totally makes sense. 0.4% of your max HP plus 13 is how much HP regeneration is going to do. So if I got 100 health, it's going to do 40 plus 13. Makes total sense. Very easy to read. Same thing here. It's, you know, it's separated easily, and it's color creation, coordinated too. So melody loop, nice bold font. They separate the font with different things. You know, like hydro is separated with like the colors of the elements. It makes it stand out. Melody loop. These are all the things it does. Bam, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3. This is like me going to school and taking notes, right? I make like, you know, me for melody notes, I would put an I right there for the Roman numeral, and then I would just make my points under that, and then put the second Roman for number 2, and it just makes it a lot easier to read. Rather than, once again, we go back just to compare once again. We go back, we just have a giant wall of blue text. I guess it's sort of separated by this like at the point of veil, and then like the final blow is supposed to be the set, but it's just, it doesn't have the same amount of organization. And then, like, you know, this right here, this scroll thing, it doesn't, it's not working the same way. And that's the biggest issue with trying to understand skills, is it's not organized, like, well. That's the biggest thing. If they could just organize it in a manner that makes it easier to read, I guess, make certain things pop out. It's like, you know, it's like when you're taking notes in class, you're not trying to remember every single thing, but you hit the key points, you highlight it, bam, bam, bam. Like, it seems like that's what Genshin is doing. Like, they highlighted the, like, you know, water damage, you know, with the color. Everything's blue here. Is there anything that's different colors in any of these characters? I think they're all, like, blue text. Okay, you get some white. You get some white sometimes. I think that's just for, like, the base, like, the very top part. Like, some of these are fine, but some of them start getting really crazy. Some of them start getting extremely crazy. And I don't know, maybe it's just the layout of, like, this whole circle thing that probably confuses me a little bit more too. Because when you go inside the circle thing, it's like 3 more circles inside of there, right? So it's like circle, and there's like 3 more circles. So you got this information over here, but then you have this information over here. But all this information is tied to this one thing, and it makes it a little bit confusing. I don't know, it's just something about, like, I guess it's the organization of, like, how it's broken up, I think makes it a little bit weird to understand what's truly going on. Where you have the nice, simplistic design of Genshin Impact that breaks it down of everything you need to know. Now, as I stated before, Genshin is more of a simplistic game. The characters don't do as much as the characters in Honkai do. And I just think that's the nature of the game, because for the most part, you're switching in that game a lot more, and playing every character to do, like, elements, to combine elements. So you're constantly switching. You're playing a character, like, you're probably switching, like, every, like, depends on, like, what you're doing, especially. You're probably switching, like, every 2 to 3 seconds, because the cooldown of switching is shorter inside of Genshin, because they know you're going to be switching more in that game. It's shorter to switch in that game because you're constantly switching elements to keep the rotation of bursts and stuff like that for the elemental chart. So I think because of that, they wanted to make the characters a little bit more simplistic in that nature, to basically combat the idea of you using this elemental chart a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. Just something that I've just been on my mind when it comes to just reading the skills. And that's why, like, my skill knowledge in this game just isn't as strong as it is in Honkai. Sometimes I do read these skills, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense in the first read or a few couple reads, and I feel like, okay, I just gotta test some of this stuff myself, because it just doesn't make sense on paper based on, like, how this looks in organization wise. I can read a character inside of Genshin and totally understand what's happening. It just makes sense. Like, this just makes sense. Even if we go to their constellations, right? I mean, they're very simplistic. It's just, you see how, like, even, like, they, like, if it's a skill, you see how they highlight it, and it, like, you know, it's broken down. They highlighting this, that this is blue, this is yellow, this is blue. It's like, it's so color coordinated, it just makes it so much easier to read, and it's broken down in such a nice way. And for most of this, for sure. So yeah, just something I wanted to bring up. Just talking about the differences between the games, and what one is bringing to the table compared to the other. Obviously, they're both really good games, but Genshin, I mean, Honkai could use some updates to some of the systems. But who knows how they're going to do it, but just something I wanted to address. Just something I wanted to address real quick. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. Because yeah, I definitely want to hear what you guys got to say. It's a sentence. Well, if they're going to rework, it's going to take a long time. So might as well roll with it. That's why people make video guides. I mean, that's a big problem too, that I think too. And that's not a big problem. It's just, I don't know. That's just so weird to me. How, like, I mean, it's a different type of company, right? You know, because it's weird to me because the background that I come from. You guys know that I come from a fighting game background, as I keep telling y'all. So in fighting games, you know, the thing that we're constantly fighting for, and that, you know, a lot of people are stressing, and the reason why fighting games so hard is because not a lot of fighting games have good tutorials that teach you every single thing about you need to know possibly to play a fighting game. It's like there's just it's so much to learn. It's so much knowledge you gotta have. Yes, players can make guides, but a lot of people want to have that type of knowledge within the game, right? Because yes, we're the fighting game community and, you know, the Honkai community, but not everyone wants to be part of a community or to look up content to learn how to play the game, right? Inside of fighting games, a lot of people don't like want to like look up outside resources. People just want the content to be in the game, and that's a big thing. So that's why we like, you know, we're constantly pushing for good tutorials within our games. And yes, the devs do some like tutorials and stuff. They use YouTube for that, which is a little weird, but that's not every character that has one. And then even then, not all of those go into like, you know, what the characters can true, like, it doesn't go into everything, right? Like if there is a flame guide, I'm pretty sure there's something about flame I can probably learn on my own that it doesn't tell you. I'm pretty sure it doesn't go over like all the combo possibilities that she have and stuff like that, and stuff, you know all that stuff. Like for example, inside of some fighting games, there's this thing called option selects. It's basically a way for you to like cover multiple options inside of the game. It's sometimes they're intended, right? But sometimes they're not. But sometimes the tutorials of the games teach you the option selects, which is a thing that most of the time players have to develop themselves and do. But some devs take it upon themselves to like teach you that stuff, which is crazy. So I mean, it's just like a weird difference to me, just coming from a different background, and then just seeing like how like community, like how much the community needs to uplift the tutorial content within this game to make sure that people really understand these characters. It's like they depend upon the content creators a lot to flesh out these characters, which is just interesting to me. I think for Genshin, there's lesser things to organize. The characters are definitely less complex, so for sure I can understand that. There's not a lot going on beneath the surface of the characters. Like, you know, there's not like a bunch. There's passives and stuff, but that's every character has like probably like 1 or 2 passives, right? So it's not that big. If you look in the Honkai Impact skill tree, there are 3 upgrades: basic attack, 2 for evade, 3 for charge. Is organized well in the skill tree, in my opinion. I think this is mad confusing too. Like I was saying before, like all of these things are branched to this. So it's like you have all these individual things that happens to this one skill, but this one skill also is a thing. So it's like these 3 things is this skill as well. And all of these happen in conjunction with this skill. Maybe it's just the fact that this game is like a little bit more complex and there's a lot of passive stuff happening that makes it a little bit more confusing to read, but I think it could have been done in a better manner. For example, if we go back to White Comet, I talk about the White Comet example all the time. And it's not everything, right? But it's something, and they had something good. You remember, the base roster in this game, I'm talking about the base characters, White Comet, Crimson Impulse, they all had this thing, this right here, right? Look at the organization of this. Look at this organization. You see the skill, you see what the skill does, and you have some other stuff down here. This is good organization. Now this is good organization. This is a lot easier to read. If this was done for like everything, I think it would be a lot more comprehensible to read. Like this is so easy to understand. It's organized a lot better. You can see, you can visually get a visual representation of what's happening on top of the description, on top of the inputs, on top of sometimes you just get the extra information. And you remember how we were talking about like the different You got the highlights: Crimson Impulse, Combo Attack, Valkyrie Chariot QTE, Stun, Knock Airborne. It hits your eyes. It makes it easier to. It's the reason why we highlight sentences in the first place. It's easier to retain that information when it's standing out. So it's like, and they just did this for like 5 characters. If they would have kept with that, it would have been easier. It'd been definitely better. For understanding certain things. To be honest, I don't want to say this, but you can't really use your background as an excuse. Those 3 are the only introduction to the game. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm saying if you have something that's already built inside of the game, why is it only built in for like a few characters? Like it's not like the groundwork wasn't already there. Like they already have the programming to have it done. Are you saying it's hard to copy and paste some of the stuff that's already in the skills section, take a GIF of the image, and then place it in there via text? Like, I'm pretty sure if the code is already there, the problem is I'm saying the code is already there. So it can't be that hard to take this, right? To take the combo skill, this, copy and paste this, put it inside that skill section, have a person record a freaking 2-second GIF, and just paste it in the game. Now it's probably a lot of work because they haven't kept it up. But every time a new character came out, come on, dog, that probably would have took them 10 minutes. The code was already there. It could have been done. That would have took them like 10 minutes. That's all I'm saying. But if GI has the multiple branches too, it'd probably be similar layout there. Well, the thing about that game is, remember, they organize it in a way to where there's different. Oh, I went to the same thing, different thing. They organize it to where there's different factions, right? So like, look at this. Even if there were going to be more parts, guess what they'll probably do? They will probably just make more tabs. To be honest, if there were going to be more things about the characters, they would just create more tabs. So if this skill was going to branch off, it would just make more. You know what it seems like to me? You know what it seems like? This is what it seems like. This is what it seems like right here. Hold on. I got the perfect example. I think this is what it is. Alright. You see this right here? Look at this. This is the skill, right? Baron Bunny. You can hold it to do this, right? I want you to look at this. You see these like these points right here? These points reminds me of these skill things. You see this? Okay, you see the skill. This is what it does. And then the points are these. That's what it seems like. But then they separate the numbers over here. Because they give you these things and they tell you the skills over here. So they highlight these and then they give you the skill numbers over here to separate it to where it's not jumbled up. They give you the numbers on a different slide. So then you're not running into this. You're not running into this in the middle of your sentence. Bro, you got a whole sentence that says 6 times 150, 2 times 200% plus 600% of a 250 veil. Bro, that's too many numbers. You got to break that shit up, dog. I don't know. I feel like you got to break it up. It's like, the organization, I just understand what they were going for when they did. It's like, okay, I get this. When you look at it over here, it's like, all right, they broke it up. That's the skill. This the skill. These are the damage numbers. This the skill. These are the damage numbers. But what attacks does Baron Bunny modify? What attacks does it modify? What do you mean what does it modify? Baron Bunny HP scales with Amber's max HP. So it's telling you it has an inherent HP percentage, but it scales with her HP. So the modifiers are right here. The HP scaling, it tells you what it is, but it tells you the modifiers over here. Oh, we can look at this character, right? So Barber normal attacks heal all allied party members and nearby party members. Characters for a certain amount of HP, which scales with Barber's max HP. Okay, so you know it's going to spell with her max HP. How is that scaling is? Where's the modifier? Modifier's right here. HP regeneration. 0.4% of her max HP plus 13. So if I got 100 HP, I'm gonna get 40 plus 13. They split it up. You get what it is here, and then the numbers here. The bubbles and Honkai Impact modifiers, specifically evasion, basic, charge. If Genshin were to have similar specific modifiers, where were they placed? There's team modifiers. So you have your basics, right? So this is your basics. This is your basics right here. This is your basic modifiers. These can be changed. You can level these up. As you see, I just don't have it for her. So these are your basics. What's your other one? Charge attacks. Your charge attacks is also right here. Charge attack is right here. So you see charge attack damage. So your basics and charge are together. So these are your modifiers for that. What else you have here? Evasion. In this game, evasion just has invul. Evasion doesn't do anything besides have invul. You can change modifiers for that. It's team based though. That's the only difference. And that's organized together as a team. It's called elemental resistance. So you can get different modifiers for this. So right now I have the elemental one. If you do the wind one, you can increase your movement speed and shorten your cooldowns. So this is your evasion. Your evasion is your run speed and stuff too. Your evasion only has like a few frames of invul. That's the difference in this game. So it has modifiers. Like I said, most of those that you just said are there besides the evasion. It's just organized in a different way. As the devs, I mean, look, I'm doing my best. This is why I made this conversation with us a YouTube video. This is why I give feedback. So it's not like I'm not doing the necessary steps. I'm doing what it takes. But but Cog, this isn't about me. This isn't about me. This like the example. Okay, this like, how can I say this? I mean, I have to go back to my community roots to like talk about it again, right? You know, we could tell players, because people want to play you want to play Street Fighter, right? You want to play Street Fighter, and the game doesn't give you the proper tools, and I say just watch YouTube. That doesn't help the community grow. If the game specifically give you all the tools you need to get good, on top of rewarding you for making the learning process fun, then that's how you could grow the community. If everything is based on just watching videos, then like, remember, not everybody wants to like have to go to outside resources to learn how to play a game. You're like, people want to stay inside the game to learn how to play the game. Most games are like that. Most games teach you how to play the game within the game. Not you have to go to outside resources to understand certain things. There's certain things about this game that were never taught to me that should have definitely been taught to me. One prime example is how stigmatas work compared to elemental and physical damage. I forget which stigmata it is. Which stigmata is it, guys, that doesn't work on elemental, that will work on physical? It's like a certain type of stigmatas of like damage type. The game literally didn't tell me that. But I saw that in a document that a player made. Like, that's something that should be in the game. Like I'm saying, like, just the game should teach you how to play the game. I understand like players, there's good there's players that can teach you. But at the end of the day, certain things should definitely be taught. Maybe you could try to organize one HO3 skill tree in GI style as an example. I mean, I'm not a graphic design artist. I can find me one. That would be interesting. That would be a cool idea. Warframe is a perfect example. Exactly. And I mean, Warframe's pretty popular still, right? But like, there's certain things that just definitely just be taught in the game. Not everybody wants to go to outside resources. Like, you limit the pool of how many players are going to play or enjoy your game, if that's the case. And that's the big thing, like with fighting games. You limit the pool of players of who's going to play the game if the players aren't enjoying the learning process or don't understand things about the game. You do the tutorial, the game tutorial is bad, then you try to practice some things with your character, and you just get smacked, and you like, whoa, I'm literally just getting thrashed. It's like, well, what do you think? The game tutorial sucked. What you thought was going to happen? You playing the game, and it's like, wow, I don't know what any of my stigmatas are actually doing. and I'm going inside MA, and I'm actually just getting worked. It's like, well, the game ain't teach you how to do that well, did it? It's like, not really. I do got some cool characters though. Let's see what you got saying. Maybe organize the skill tree in the Word doc or something. Imagine where you place a certain skill and their respective upgrades. You got a point. Something that absolutely could be improved on terms of explaining game mechanics is Fuha combos. I never used her battlesuit because, like you said, it's a hassle to have to look up tutorials for community members. Like, yeah. And then, like, okay. Say this for example too, right? I'm not trying to diss anybody. This is not dissing anybody. But what if the person that has the guides for look up the videos is a personality that you don't like, right? Maybe there's a personality that you do like, but then the community ostracizes him and says like his information isn't correct, or you know, don't watch this person, but you like their personality, but they aren't the ones that the community say you should watch. But the person that has the good information that people say you watch, you're not a fan of their personality. It's like you can run into so many different things that just the case, unless the information was just in the game, right? Yo, shout outs to that one person that dislikes every one of my videos. Yo, I swear I get like every video I make, it'd be like one dislike. I'm like, yo, who is this person that just like hates me? I mean, I know everybody doesn't like everybody. It's fine, right? That's life. Such is life. But yeah. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting conversation for us to talk about. I think discussions about the games that you're passionate about are good. Talking about what could be improved and stuff. Even if nothing gets done, even if we can't change the dev non, even if it's too late, just having the discussions are strong, right? One good example of this, there's two different types of netcode for fighting games, right? There's one called delay based, which is the one that fighting games have had for years. Then there's been this war that we've been having with the developers in Japan, because most of the games are like from Japan that we play outside of like Mortal Kombat and like Killer Instinct. We have been fighting to get this netcode called rollback netcode, which is a netcode that Japan doesn't use because their continent is so small. The delay base work a little bit better over there than it does over here in the States because it's so big. We've been fighting a war with them of trying to get this netcode put inside of games for the past 9 to 10 years. And it's finally coming to fruition because we've constantly been begging them, telling them about this, showing them examples. And it's finally coming to like fruits of fruition for Guilty Gear. The new Guilty Gear is coming out. Is finally going to have rollback, and they're finally listening to the community, and they're finally asking the Western audience our opinions on a lot of things. We're getting a lot of surveys, we're getting a lot of stuff. They want to know our feedback for the first time ever in history because of all of this that's been happening. And it's like, dog, if you want something in your game, you got to fight the good fight. Like, we've been fighting for 10 years. 10 years. It's what you got to do. Do a little bit of Chronicles real quick. Gotcha rolls? Haha.